Okay, everybody. Hope everybody's doing fine. Sorry when I do these lately abruptly without saying thank you or anything. But when he comes up, he doesn't like to be on camera. And he doesn't understand why I'm doing it. But, this is what I like doing, so. Worn out. Tired still. But went yesterday, trying to help the kids get themselves a car that would be cheaper for them per month, but it didn't work out. Poor kids. I feel bad for them because, they can't do that, but part of it's their, fault because they let their credit go so bad, you know. And my son's the one that usually pays for it, so I'm trying to turn the light on, so there it goes. Now you can see me better and I can walk over this way. Anyway, so here it is. February. Bored out of my gourd, of course. So I hope everybody's doing fine. Instead of ranting today, I'd rather just talk, give you a heads up on stuff, Now I'm losing weight, you can tell it in my face. But life is hard. You guys gotta, do what you gotta do to keep yourselves going because, it's hard to, live the way, we want to live. We all want to live to where we don't have to deal with, not being able to pay bills or rent or, in some cases, mortgage. But, a lot of us are doing it. This is not no rant about President Trump. President Trump is just going to be president until 2029. So we just got to hold on and hope that the, next administration will do us better. Whether Republican, liberal, Democrat, whatever. But those who are saying that Democrats are evil, you're wrong. There's evil people working that are senators and that are House of Representatives, but not all of them, and not all of them are Republican, Democrat, liberal, whatever you want to call your particular party. Like I was trying to say yesterday, I don't vote because of the party. I vote because it depends on what the man's saying, and what he's shown. To me, I think a political candidate should at least have been in Congress at one time or the other, whether in the House or in the Senate. That's just my belief, And to me, President Trump has done neither. Now he's going all out the way he is, and I'm not going to say bad or good. I have my opinion, and I have friends that have their own opinion too. But you can't treat one part of the country one way, and the part that can't survive without help, and you want to mess up their SNAP, and you want to mess up their SSI, and even the welfare mothers. Not all welfare mothers. Today you can't live off of welfare like you used to be able to. There was a time when you had to pay all that back, by the way. Back in the 60s and 70s, you had to pay that back once you got a job. But now that I don't think you have to pay it back. I never did, but it was hard for me to get a job because I didn't have a high school diploma. So I went back and got it, and it wasn't because I was dumb or I did stupid stuff in school. I had slow time learning, because when I was 7 years old, I was pushed off a baseball dugout and ended up the cracked skull, so it had to affect the brain a little bit. Though my memories, I'll probably end up with Alzheimer's. My grandmother did, but I'd already had medical problems when I was born. But not everybody can be healthy, okay? We all have our problems. We all have struggles. I'm sure that you have struggles too. We just have to take one day at a time. Yeah, like here, yeah, our rent is cheaper than it was when we were in 29 Palms. Yeah, it's cheaper. But, my stuff's in California. That, I have things that like my mother's carol cabinet. I have it in a storage unit. It's been there for almost 3 years now. I want all that stuff with me, but I can't be in California because I can't afford it. Which I don't know how they're going to fix that because their mortgage rates there are the problem, which is causing rents to go up. Now, I think it's ridiculous to pay over $1,000 for somewhere like this. I mean, in California, mind you, their studio apartments are about this size, and I'll show you. I'll scan it for you. It's about that size. They went over $1,000. It's nuts. I mean, some of them even come out like $1,500. How people gonna live like that? Yeah, people in California get $1,233.94 on their SSI. This is just the SSI. When it comes to regular Social Security, it's hard to say because it depends on how long you've worked. Okay, but you still can't afford that. Plus the utilities, because most of them don't come with it in California. Don't come with paid utilities. There's some that do, but I mean, even this place here in this state doesn't come with, free utilities. We have to pay $220, and that's why instead the real rent is $749, but $220 gets added on to that for the lights and the electric stuff that we have to have. So we try to keep it down to a minimum with electric, with the lights and stuff on. That's why when it's light, normally we're in the dark, with just the light from the window. And it's got like a little tint to it, if you look. There's a little tint. People can't really see in that much. But, and let me tell you about this place. I know it used to be a regular motel. Because the way it's set up, you can tell it was it was built, I think, it might have been a Comfort Inn or something, but there's a regular Motel 6 across the street, and down over by the Drury Hotel near where we live, there's a Studio 6, which is a Motel 6, but it has the kitchenette like in here. So I think this is the old one. This was either the old Studio 6 or it was a Comfort Inn Studio One, or something like that. But it used to be a motel. I mean, they refurbished it and turned it into a regular, you know, apartment complex, which is just studios, which we can live fine. Yeah, we fight a lot. Believe me, we fight a lot. But that's just because we we get stressed. I mean, I'm sure everybody else gets stressed, but we get stressed pretty much because, one, we didn't want to come back to Texas. We ended up coming back, but, this is only going to be for a time. I'm not going to live here. But we came back mainly for my granddaughter and my son and his wife, and I'm including his wife too because she's married to him. You can't, believe me, never say your daughter-in-law or slash son-in-law are the outsiders of your family, because they're not outsiders, especially when they have kids. They're not outsiders. I don't expect her to be called an outsider. She's not an outsider to me. She's still my daughter-in-law. I was never treated as an outsider when I first met my husband and stuff, but I gotta check the time, so I gotta put my glasses on. Yeah, I got time. But so if you hear me abruptly say thanks for watching, because I see him come upstairs, and like I said, he doesn't like it's not because he wants, he doesn't want me doing this. It's because he don't like being on camera. He worries that he's gonna end up being on camera, and I don't put people on camera that don't want to be on camera. I mean, I took video of my granddaughter at Christmas, but I didn't post it because her mother asked me not to. So, there you go. So, if I abruptly and I don't say thank you, I'll say it now. Thanks for watching. And you know where to subscribe and everything is, so I'm not going to tell you. You can figure it out myself. God, looking at my face, I got wrinkles. Yeah, I definitely look like my grandma. But yeah, this one's the grandma I look like. Can you see it? Let's see if I can get it down there. Yeah, that one. Anyway, I look like my dad's mother. I'm sure like my mom's mom, but both of them sort of had the same color hair. So we don't go gray like that. Only reason why I'm taking my glasses off because of the glare from the light. But like I said, it's just we're all struggling. So if you can help somebody else out, friend or otherwise, do so. That doesn't mean give them money. If you see somebody that is asking for change for food, you take them to the nearest restaurant if it's close by, or you tell them where the nearest food bank is where they can go get food, or because you shouldn't give money out anyway like that, because a lot of them buy alcohol with it, or drugs sometimes. So, we always try to, we'll either feed you or we'll tell you where you can go get food. We don't mind helping people out like that. Excuse me. It's because I'm drinking soda, so I'm going to do that from time to time. So I feel that we should help our, fellow man, if you want to call a woman. To me, it's what we should do as human beings. We've always been like that. We've given people we hardly knew a place to sleep, whether it was on the couch or, stuff. All they had to do was put the food stamps in and get well fed, and they had access to the kitchen and whatever they wanted, you know. We've always been like that, but we've been careful about who we brought in the house around our kid. And as you can see, yeah, I have dark circles because I don't get to sleep that much because I really didn't want to come back here. I was my kids, and I call both of them my kids because, you know, that's the way you should. Because, like I said, the only reason why I'm here, my reason why, I don't know about my husband's because he has his own. Let me scratch my nose. Sorry about that. It's because of my kids and my granddaughter. And I have another granddaughter I don't get to see, and I don't understand that either. But things happen. I can't make her mother out to be a demon. She's not. I still care about her mother too. But I wish things could get to where the child could come out and visit from time to time. But right now, with my son and daughter-in-law struggling with what they've got to deal with, they've got to deal with what's more important. High brand things, or hey, we could go to, here and get such and such clothing, or go to this store and get cheaper food, or the cheaper brand is better. She wants everything to be high priced. She wants, she doesn't like. She says she says she can't wear like I do. She can't wear fake jewelry, as she calls it. Excuse me a minute. So therefore, my son's gonna pull out $300-400 for things when they have a car payment they need to pay, and right now they have to pay over $600 and something for that car, and they're behind because she likes this expensive stuff, and I'm not downing her for it. Hey, everybody does. But when you don't got the funds to do it, don't do it. We're actually buying them a couch. We shouldn't have to. He should have went and put it on his Aaron's bill, but he can't afford it himself right now because of the car payment, the debts that, he's still paying back his mother-in-law for, pods that most of the stuff that they took back to Florida ended up broken. And, I think they should have went after the people in the pod, because that means whoever drove it out there wasn't taking care of the stuff. But, probably too late now. But now she's not getting along with her mother, and she has her reasons, and I understand that, she still holds grudges with me, but she understands that, if I say one word to Chris wouldn't pay for that couch, but it's under his name. So, I'm thinking, pay a few more payments, let them get a little bit out of debt, or find a car where they have the extra money and then let them pay for it. Because we shouldn't have to. It's bad enough that, here's bothering me, keeps going on my nose, making it itch. It's exactly like this one. Exactly, except that is on this side. So, I don't mind helping him, but there's going to come a time, and I have a feeling because he updated his address to being here, I have a feeling his check's going to go down, and he's thinking, oh no, it won't. It will. Watch. Because this is Texas, and you can't live off stuff you get from California. That's why I think Allstate should, give SSI the highest amount in all the country, which is basically what California gives out. They should do it here too, because the rents are just as expensive. you know, and we still have to pay for the storage, and I'm not losing that storage. You know, I'll bypass that and pay for the storage better. You know, the bed I have to pay for because we need the bed to sleep on, but you know, it's a small bed. I had to go through a small bed. We really can't afford that couch, but we have to because I mean, and he hardly sits on it anymore. He used to sleep on it, you know, because he couldn't get comfortable. Now he's getting where he's getting comfortable over there, and it's fine. But you know, who's to say what's going to happen in the next future or not? You know, I hope that everybody out there in YouTube land, I should call it, um, I hope you guys are all right. And you don't have to face too many struggles. Hopefully, you know, things will get better. But thanks for watching. Subscribe down there somewhere. I don't know where they put it on here, but it's down there somewhere. And there's a notification bell if you wish, you know. And I hope you guys have a good day. And I will probably do another one on Monday. I'm not sure. I won't make promises. Anyway, toodles.